Welcome to Senior Moments, the show where we talk about all things senior, the good, the bad, and the utterly ridiculous. Today I have with me Stephanie Kearney. She is with HHSA CalFresh, and Gwen Barnes, who is with Public Health CalFresh, and they're going to tell us what the difference between the two are and how you two work together. So welcome.
Thank
It's
you.
nice to have you here.
Hi, we're
Thank
happy
you.
to be here.
Oh, good. So who would like to start today?
Maybe your side of it, because that's where it all begins.
It all begins with
Okay.
us. Our agency determines eligibility for CalFresh benefits, for a lot of other benefits as well. But we're here to talk about CalFresh today, and they can apply many different ways for CalFresh. Benefits Cal is one of the things that we really push, because you apply and within minutes the application hits our office, and we do mostly phone interviews now, and it makes it so much easier, especially in our county that is so spread out. People don't have to come into our office or even one of our outstations, and after we determine eligibility, the CalFresh gets loaded onto what we call an electronic benefit transfer card, or EBT, and people can spend that money for healthy foods, which is where Gwen comes in.
All right. So let me ask you, when you say they, who is they?
They is anybody from most any age. We have 17-year-olds that are homeless in this county that qualify for CalFresh benefits, and it doesn't matter how old you are, you can apply for CalFresh benefits.
Okay.
So it's a wide range of ages that we serve. We've been doing some outreach to our senior population because they don't understand that they can potentially be eligible even though they have income. A lot of people think that you have to not have any income to be eligible for CalFresh, and that is not true. The largest percentage of our CalFresh population actually is employed or on Social Security disability,
Okay.
other programs.
So CalFresh that is supplementing. It can supplement your food
Exactly.
budget.
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
it's meant to supplement about 1/3 of what a family needs for food.
Okay. And when you say family, I know I'm getting kind of nitty-picky here, but what do you consider a family? For 4 people, 5 people?
1 to however many, related or not related.
So then if let's say that I have 4 people in my household qualifies for the benefit, I get enough to feed 4 people for 30% of the month, basically, right? A third.
In theory, yes. Yes. It's all about budgeting and money. So it depends on how much income's coming into the house, and then it's all based, your benefit amount is based on that.
Okay.
So some people qualify for the lowest amount, which is $23, where other people, one person, no income, $298.
Okay. Well, $298 is better than nothing, but it would still be a challenge to try to live on $298.
Yes, it
of food a month.
definitely is.
And heaven forbid if you have a cat or a dog, because you're not buying dog
Yeah,
food or
food.
cat food
No.
with those
No,
benefits.
you're not.
Well, that is good to know. I'm going to look a little bit more on that. Do you have general guidelines, what the income limitations are? Just ballpark.
You know, I don't have those off the top of my head, but when you go into benefitscal.com and you click on the CalFresh, one of the first questions is, how do I qualify, or do I qualify? And you put in some of your basic information in there, and it'll tell you if it appears that you would qualify or not.
Okay.
And so that's what we recommend people do when they call our office. We have all of our charts at the ready, and we can help them determine whether they want to apply or not. But Benefits Cal, there's a lot of information, and even on our Calaveras County website, there's a step-by-step to determine if you may potentially be eligible.
Okay, so if I complete things on the computer, and then I call you or you call me, however it works, to get me enrolled in the program, at some point do I have to give you some kind of identification? Do I have to upload a driver's license or something so that you know the person that actually filled out the form on the computer and the person you're talking on the phone to are the same person?
Yes. So when you apply at benefitscal.com, it tells you everything that we're going to need. So we're going to need identification. It doesn't necessarily have to be picture ID, but we have to be able to identify you.
Okay.
You're going to have already given us your social security number on the application and your address and your date of birth, information like that, and we don't speak to anybody until we identify them. So
Okay.
we may ask their name, we may ask them their middle name. You know, there's a lot of information that some people can get about you, but there's
Right.
stuff that they may not be able to. So if you've ever had a case with us before, we might go back and look and say, and what was the last address you lived at before this one?
Okay.
Well, only the person who is truly that person will know what that is.
Sure. Okay. And I always laugh because I'm a Thomasich. I live on Lombardi Drive in McCullamy Hill. Now, who could make that up? It would be hard. Yeah, okay. Well, that sounds good. And then, Gwen, what do we do when we get to you?
So my side of the CalFresh program is CalFresh Healthy Living.
Okay.
So CalFresh Healthy Living is all about using the food stamp benefits to get the most out of them that you can.
Okay.
So we do mostly education. So I go to the schools, we teach adults, we teach pretty much all ages, and we cover a range of topics. So I can start with the elementary schools. We go to multiple in the county, and we teach things like nutrition basics. We teach like some cooking skills. We'll make food in the classroom. Things like the USDA My Plate, which is basically the new food pyramid.
Okay.
New and improved food pyramid. And we teach people the My Plate, and the kids are really receptive. They learn a lot from doing that.
Okay.
We take them out in the garden to learn where their food comes from. They'll grow it from seed to harvest, which is always super fun. And we do a lot of physical education as well. So getting our bodies moving.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a really important part of eating healthy. And for our adult education, we go to places like the Peer Center,
All right.
and we do classes that are more focused on, along with nutrition basics, we focus on shopping on a budget,
Okay.
how to basically outsmart the grocery store. So, you know, just like a simple tip at the grocery store that we give people is stay on the outside of the grocery store, the outside edges, because the middle of the grocery store is mostly junk food.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and tips like make a list that has different categories based on the section of the store you're shopping in. So I make my grocery list every week, and I make little sections. So I say produce, frozen, meat and dairy, and dry goods. And then I write everything I need for my week, and it saves us a lot of money because we end up not going in there and picking out random things. So
Right.
things like tips like that. And we teach people how to cook for one, how to cook with a limited kitchen space, because we have a lot of residents up here who don't have a full kitchen. They might be staying in a trailer or staying at someone else's house or
Right.
a motel, so they don't have necessarily a full kitchen like some of us do, you know?
Yes.
So skills like that. And working with the adult population is really fun too, because a lot of the stuff that we're all learning, we're learning together. Because most of us didn't get nutrition education as kids. So teaching it to the adults is, you know, just as exciting. Like everyone's still learning new things, which I think is really fun.
Well, and I think nutritional education when I was a kid was way different than the way we look at it now because, you know, if there wasn't gravy and fried
Yeah.
meat and potatoes on that plate, that wasn't a meal, you know.
Yeah.
That was just a snack if you didn't have that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the time, like especially with how expensive things are now, people aren't necessarily thinking of, okay, well, how is my meal the healthiest it can be?
Right.
People are just thinking about getting a meal,
Exactly.
right, and getting the food they need. So we kind of start there, and then ease into making small changes that can help your diet.
Right. Well, how do you fall on the frozen versus canned vegetable spectrum?
I can tell you. So the cool thing about frozen vegetables, especially and fruits, and this is something we talked about last time I saw you, is that they're frozen at the peak of freshness.
Okay.
So when you think about the grocery store and you go to the produce section, how long do you think that stuff sits there?
Depending on the day, it could have been there quite a while, actually.
Could have been there a while, and they put the wax on, the preservative kind of stuff on the
yeah.
fruit, and so you don't really know how long it's been there. It wasn't just picked off the tree. But if they take an apple off the tree and they freeze it right away, it holds a lot of that nutrients in there.
Sure, that makes
And
sense.
canning is similar as well, but I think freezing is going to be a little bit superior nutritionally.
Okay. This episode of Senior Moments is brought to you by Naughty Squirrel Farms. I've always been under the impression that freezing was better nutritionally, and I do like the flavor of frozen vegetables and frozen fruits better than canned.
Yeah.
But again, that's something that happened as an adult. As a child, I wanted the mushy, sweet peaches out of the can, you
Yeah.
know, and I wanted the green, oh God, I can't even hardly eat them now. The green beans out of the can
Yeah.
that had like a ton of salt in them, and then my mom put butter on top of that. I think about that now, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So things have changed a lot.
They have.
And I actually have a niece who is in school for, I'm going to say cooking, but that's not the right degree. It'd be nutrition or something. But in one of her classes, they have done studies that show that your genetics actually have a profound effect on what you like to eat, because something that tastes one way for someone of Asian descent tastes entirely different to somebody from, say, a German descent.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I just thought that was absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
But it kind of shows, you know, like the foods in the South, that when you have enclaves of people that all stayed in the same place, so their cultural heritage kind of stayed together, as opposed to like some of us that got scattered out in the wind, and, you know, we don't know if we like corn or if we like potatoes
Yeah.
because we're scattered. But you can see how those food choices,
Yeah.
you know, come into play. So
We actually try to do a lot of our education, especially when they do it in like places that have different cultures, like in the cities. They base the curriculum around the culture's food identity. So if it's a Asian-centered area, they're going to be making more Asian recipes.
okay,
Because that's more relevant to the people there.
Right.
So up here, you know, we're making more stuff that's familiar to people who grew up here, right? So more American kind of food. But in other places, they can adapt it and make it more relevant to that
Okay.
group, which is fun.
So do you think that's, I'm just kind of curious, this area has a large Italian, European, or that isn't European so much as, but Italian, Croatia, that sector of the world. So are we truly American, or do we have a tendency more towards, like, say, Italian foods?
I think,
Or do we like Mexican because it's on every corner?
I feel like America's the mixing pot, right?
Okay.
So with our food,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the beautiful things about living here is that we can eat anything.
Sure.
You know, you can go down the street and, like you said, we can get Mexican food, we can get Italian food, we can get Thai food.
Yeah.
And I think that's really fun.
Yes. That sounds amazing.
So I guess that's my answer to that. I feel like that's what
Yeah.
America is
All right.
different things.
Yes. Okay. So back to your part of the
Equation.
equation. So how long does it take, basically, from the time I apply for a benefit to getting determination and then actually getting the benefit?
So we have what we call expedited services CalFresh, and there are certain criteria that have to be met. Income under $100, resources under 150. If your rent is more than your income, so let's say you have an income of $2,000 a month, but your rent is $2,100, and you have to pay your own utilities, then we consider you not able to pay your rent
Right.
and your utilities, and so that would move you into expedited services. In those instances, we have 3 days from the date of application. So if you were to apply today, Well, and this is a perfect example because we have a holiday weekend.
Sure.
So we don't count the date of application.
Okay.
So tomorrow would be one day. Tuesday or Thursday would be day number 2, and Friday would be day number 3. But if you were to come in on Thursday and apply, then Friday's day number 1, Saturday and Sunday we count as one day, and Monday's a holiday, so we would actually have to get you your benefits by Friday because Monday's a holiday and we wouldn't be able to get them to you.
That's
So,
quick.
and last month I had just done a report that we're required to turn into the state of California every month. And last month, 79 of the 241 applications that we took in our office in the month of April were what we call expedited services. So they had to be processed within 3 days. And we only have 5 girls doing that. And then they also, of course, had to process the other 200 or 100 and something.
Right.
And then we have 30 days to process a regular application.
Do we have, well, apparently we do, have quite a few people then that end up needing that expedited turnaround?
Yes,
Is that
we do.
because they wait too long to apply? Or is it just that all of a sudden their lives go upside down and?
No, a lot of times what we see are people that maybe have just lost their job within the last week or a couple of weeks. We have people that have just lost their unemployment or their state disability, and they're sitting there going, oh my gosh, what do I do now? And they call our office to find out if there's anything we can do, and we try and steer them in the right directions depending on what their family circumstances are.
Okay.
So,
And in the case of somebody that can't pay their rent and utilities because they're $2,100 and they make $2,000, you're also able to help them with temporary, are you able to help them with temporary housing?
it depends on what
supplements, or-
program they're eligible to, but we do have a housing department, and if somebody is having problems or on the verge of being evicted, we will refer them to our housing department.
Okay.
But we do have other housing programs. For example, if you're on cash aid, we do have housing programs to help you out through that program. CalFresh really doesn't have its own housing program.
Okay. So about how many people in the county are taking advantage of the program? Do you know?
Well, I know that we have over 4,000 cases. I believe it's about 6,900 people in total through those cases.
And we've got 49,000 in the county?
45 something, I think.
45,000? That's a really high percentage of the county.
And the state of California has recognized the little county of Calaveras because throughout the state of California, per capita, we have more people on CalFresh than any other county in the state.
That
So
is
we've been
wonderful.
recognized for that. But we work real hard. All of the 2 departments working together, we work real hard to help people that qualify apply and get their benefits.
So I always find this fascinating, the division between health and human services and public health, because in my mind they're just like one big party. But how do you guys differentiate? How do you know? Is it just where the funding comes from? One pot lands in your lap and another one in...
Yeah,
We're all under the same umbrella. So it's HHSA, which is Calaveras County Health and Human Services. Public health, we're just in a separate building,
Okay.
basically. And we're all on different funding, but we're actually on the same funding with CalFresh.
correct.
Yeah, it's a federal funding stream that we are paid through,
Okay.
through the ag bill.
All right.
But yeah, we work together, but separate
we do
buildings.
we do different
Yeah.
things.
Right.
So our area of HHSA determines eligibility. So we determine if you're eligible to the benefit, and her part of the agency teaches people how to spend those benefits wisely, get more bang for their buck.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the ways to get more bang from your buck would be to go to a certified farmer's market, right?
Definitely. And some of our
Absolutely.
farmers markets actually cover SNAP. They cover
Okay.
EBT. which is really cool. So you can go there and you can get tokens that they'll give you when you come in. And I think you actually end up getting more.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that the Sonora Farmers Market gives more tokens than you give them money.
Right.
And then you're eligible to spend them. And I think
Yeah.
they did it in Angels.
Yeah, I believe Angels, and I think West Point might do it as well at their farmers market.
Okay. I know they used to do it in San Andreas, but that whole market just went away.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. But that was, I always went and I bought the token. I don't have SNAP benefits, but they also, you bought a token for $10 and you got $11. The token was worth $11. So I'd always get my extra dollar that way.
Yeah.
And then they gave you $5 the first, like, I don't know, 50 people that got there. So I always made sure I got there early. I wanted my extra
Yeah.
$5. But yeah, I made out like a bandit at those farmers markets, and the food was good and the people were fun. So
They're great. It's such a good community resource. And
yes.
we went to the one in West Point a lot last year, public health, because that's one of our more high need community areas.
Right.
So we spent a lot of time up there last summer at the farmers market, and it's so cool up there because they do community dinners at the Blue Mountain Center where they do
Right.
the farmers market, and it's just great to see how many people come out to get that fresh produce.
You know, West Point is a dynamic little community. I just went to their gala that supported the West Point Elementary School, and I'm just so impressed. There were so many really nice silent auction gifts that people had donated, and the place was packed. Everybody came. They were dressed to the nines. I mean, they made it an event. It was really nice, but the community, it just made me feel so good to see a community support their school to that extent. I mean, it was amazing.
I love West Point. I teach at the school there every Thursday,
Okay.
nutrition. And we also work with the Blue Mountain Coalition kids who are
Okay.
an after-school program, and we take them to the community garden up there for garden club. So
Oh,
it's so
wonderful.
much fun, and the community up there is really tight,
Uh-huh.
which I really enjoy. It's really nice people.
I agree. I broke down halfway to West Point. I have
Oh,
to
no.
say, it was a really pleasant experience. I met some really nice
Yeah.
people. I mean, other than the fact it cost me an arm and a leg, but the people I met along the way were just amazing. So it could have been a lot worse.
Now, that's where our first outstation actually opened with, and I can't remember how many years ago it was, but it was quite a few years ago, was in West Point. And so we have outstations throughout the county. We have one in Copperopolis. We have one in Railroad Flat and Arnold.
Okay.
So people don't have to come all the way down to our office. They can call our office and find out when our outstations are open, or it's on our Calaveras County website as well.
Okay. So going back to the expedited processing. So I apply on a Tuesday, my benefits ready on Friday. Do you just hand me a card? Are you able to do that, or do they come in the mail, or how does that work?
We're able to hand you a card if you want to come in and get one. If you live in one of the communities I mentioned where we have an outstation or close to one, so you're closer to an outstation than you are to us, then we can send it with one of our outstation workers, and you can go into the outstation and pick it up. We'll mail it to you.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So, but a lot of people prefer to come in and pick them up.
That would be me. So how many community gardens do we have?
That I work at, there's 2.
Okay.
So there's a really flourishing one in West Point, and then there's also one that we're trying to establish right now in McCollum Hill,
Oh, nice. I think I've read something about that online.
right below Hobbs Field.
Okay.
We're trying to get one going. It's been a long process because the water broke last year, so
no.
we had no water for a year. But we're starting again, and they're putting in a fence right now for us.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
And then there's a couple schools with gardens too, aren't there? I think.
almost every school has a garden up here,
Really?
which is really good. So my program, is funded by CDPH.
Okay.
Through CDPH. There's also CalFresh Healthy Living employees that are funded through the UC system.
All right.
So they cover the schools that I don't cover.
Oh.
So we kind of split up the county sites. So the schools that I don't have gardens at, they have gardens at. So there's a garden, I think, I want to say, I can't say 100%, I think at every elementary school. that we have in Calaveras County has a garden.
Okay, and then do the kids get to take vegetables home, the things they grow home?
They do.
Oh, that's
some
wonderful.
of the school districts don't allow kids to the produce to go to the school cafeteria because there's certain laws in certain places.
Of course there are.
But we usually have the produce and it's given to kids that work in the garden.
Sure, that makes
Families.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm once again trying to grow tomatoes, but I gotta confess that pretty much every year I try to grow tomatoes and I end up going to Calaveras High and buying theirs. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll have you teach me how to grow tomatoes.
Oh,
one
I'd
of
love
these
to help
days.
you. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we just have a few minutes left, and I'm wondering, is there something we haven't talked about that we should touch on?
Maybe the app. The issue
That
with
would
the
be
app.
Yes, the EBT. There's an application for anybody that has an EBT card, and it's called EBT Edge. And you have to make sure that you get the one, so like if you go out to Benefits Cal, actually it will tell you or provide a link for you to get to the EBT Edge.
Okay.
And what's important about having that application is it links to your EBT card. There's been a lot of theft, and people don't realize that when they just recently sent out the chip cards, but most of our retailers are not taking them at this time because they have to upgrade their equipment to take it for EBT.
okay.
So, but what happens is when you use your card and you insert it or you swipe it, people will get your information, and we've had in the state of California and actually across the United States, there's been millions and millions and millions of dollars in CalFresh benefits and actually cash aid benefits that have been stolen. So what the EBT Edge does is it allows you to lock your card.
Oh, that's
You
good.
walk into the store and on your phone, you unlock it, you use it, and you lock it again.
Oh,
and
wonderful.
that protects your benefits from being taken off your card.
Because there's other third-party apps that are advertised that are not safe.
They're
Okay.
not safe.
Yeah.
So it has to be the EBT Edge.
All right, that is good to know.
Yeah.
And I cannot think of anything lower than stealing from somebody who already can't afford food.
Yeah.
I mean, good grief. Anyway, that's not good.
Yeah, and for a while, we were replacing, if you had 6 months worth of benefits stolen, we were replacing them, but it's not that way anymore. They've cracked down on that just because it's gotten so expensive.
Sure.
And we can only replace 2 months. And a lot of people save their stuff, especially people that get the summer program cards for their kids.
Right.
They use those because those are limited time on the card, and they save their other ones, and then they come to find that they've had $1,200 stolen off their card. But
Oh, my
the
gosh.
Edge app will lock it.
That is good to know.
Yeah. Adds a little security for people.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming today. It's been delightful to see both of you and to hear a little bit more about CalFresh. It just amazes me the amount of, there's just a lot in this county if people only knew how to access it. We do have a lot of, we have a really robust Health and Human Services department, I think, and it is a good benefit for the county.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for
having
having
us
us.
on.
Oh, you're welcome.
May is CalFresh Awareness Month.
All right.
So we're excited to be here to let people know what we do.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for everybody showing up today and watching this video with us. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope you come back and join us next time.